For more awesome content, head to ystech.org, link in the description. It was 1 whole year since I regrettably sold my RX 580. You can see here, this is my last stream on it, and I recorded it, and it was on Twitch. The RX 580 was a very powerful card, and which that was pretty reasonable at the time that I purchased it in 2019. Fortunately, I sold it in the event that I hope that the RTX 3050 or the 3050 Ti was going to release, from what rumors I heard, in 2020. In 2021, in the months to come, I realized that this card is never coming, or won't come for a very long time. I switched over to my 980 Ti that I purchased off Trade Me. That took a little bit of TLC, replacing the thermal pads and the thermal paste on the GPU die, and it was good to go. And till recently, about November of 2021, I decided that this card was probably good enough for me, but I wanted something better. So I got the RTX 3070. So this card is a monster. It's very powerful. It's more than enough for anyone building a PC, and it's extremely expensive. But I had a summer job, so that's fine. So now comes the real question. Why did I make this video? The time has finally come. Literally 1 year later, almost exactly since I sold my RX 580, the budget options, supposedly, have finally come to fruition. So we've got the RX 6500 XT that is supposedly going to release on January 19th, which is great. Sorry, I'm a little bit too late on the party on this news. I've been working, but I thought it might as well make a video because their release dates are very soon, and hopefully they'll release for about $199 US. So I've got some articles here just from The Verge and stuff. So it's likely to be a 4 gig card as far as I know. From what I've heard from Gamers Nexus, you can see it's one of their listings that they found is listed as 4 gigs, and it's unfortunately got PCIe 4.0 from what I've heard. You can see here where he says where it stops on the actual pins on the GPU. So we'll see how that is with PCIe 3.0 motherboards, and should be fine on 4.0 motherboards. I mean, that's what it's made for. So on 3.0 it'll be interesting to say. Of course, I'm kind of a little bit regurgitating of what Gamers Nexus says. I just referenced them in this video as well, though. So where does this fit in New Zealand? So it should come to about $292 New Zealand at MSRP, and that's probably not what you're going to pay. So let's bring up a calculator here. So we'll take that $292, and in New Zealand, I'd say add on an extra $150 to that. So you're probably looking at about $450 New Zealand for a 6500 XT with 4 gigs of VRAM. Now, I've heard things in terms of its performance being actually quite similar to the RX 580, which is a little bit concerning considering the prices it's releasing at. But do keep in mind, at this moment in the market, we're forced to accept higher prices for, well, supposedly lower performing cards. That's yet to be seen, but it's a wee bit concerning that AMD is doing this, but at least it gives options for people wanting to purchase a brand new graphics card in the current market. In my opinion, these cards should wipe out a little bit of the secondhand market if they deliver the performance they can at brand new prices, so $450 or below $500. So there we go, and as you can see as well, the RTX 3050 Ti is going to be releasing on January 27th for $249 US. So that comes to about $365 New Zealand. So add about $150 onto that, and we've got $515.77. So that should come to about I'd say anywhere under $550, which is an odd place to put it because realistically, I mean, I don't know what they're going to do with the lineups of cards. So be interesting to see what happens with pricing, but I do believe it should range about $550. It shouldn't go too much higher than that, but January 27th when you're expecting that. And we've already heard things coming out of from Japan. I saw this one from Tom's Hardware, and I think it's a reference also to WCCF Tech. And they were talking about how they released earlier versions of the card, but they're 8 gig custom models. So and they were retailing about for $400 and they got sold out. So I don't know how many were in supply there. These are just early reports, but seems that everyone wants a budget card, which is fair enough. Everyone's been saving for a while. So yeah, I mean, it'd probably be pretty decent value for money, but I believe both cards are 4GB models. So the RTX 3050 and the 6500 XT should both be 4GB, fitting into the range of below $550 New Zealand. So I hope that is the real pricing of it. And yeah, I mean, January 27th when it's going to come out. We've heard reports of it, probably going to sell out pretty quickly. Who knows in New Zealand? They've said that they'll have extra stock, but in any case, just have your money ready. And if you've been saving for a while, I know a lot of you guys have, make sure you go and get one. If it's decent value to performance, most of the reviewers should put out reviews for them soon in any case, and we'll be able to see how they perform. For example, for the 6500 XT on PCI 3.0, and we'll also be able to see how the RTX 3050 handles newer titles and with their 4GB VRAM buffer. So yeah, I mean, it's kind of funny that a lot of the GPUs are coming out. You know, they want to put out the 3080 Ti and the 3090 Ti as well, but at the same time, at least it gives another option for the budget range. At least the 3050 was snuck in there as well. It's a good option. It's not something that's great, but it's something we have to accept. So I want to talk about the pricing now. So in the budget pricing, generally in New Zealand, below, I'd say 350, we'd say there's usually a 1650 from NVIDIA and the GTX 1050 Ti, which, well, the 1650 is better than the 1050 Ti, but that's what usually fits in right now, below 350 in this space. So onto the next page here, we can see that between 350 and about 650 to 700, we usually get cards like the GTX 1660, as you can see here, it's one of the cheaper ones. And on the next page here, we've got things like the RTX 2060 12GB model, which I'd like to talk about because it actually fits itself into an interesting space just because it's a 12GB model card and it's been re-released at nearly more than $700. So you can see the older one here, the one for 650. This one is 6GB and it's still currently $898 from PB Tech. I'm not sure whose website this is, but probably not reliable. But the 12GB model is definitely very expensive. Even the 6GB models were ranging anywhere from $700 plus. And yeah, I mean, it's a really weird space at the moment. There's also cards like the RX 6600s, which also range from anywhere from the cheapest, what they released at $650 to anywhere to $980 at the moment, $980. So the RX 6600 and the 6600 XTs, so they fit that type of market there as well. Now, what I find funny is if you scroll down, like for example, on a little more compacted list here, you find that all the price ranges are for different cards. So where do these cards even slot in? So it's really hard to say. My friend was asking me about this, and we had a pretty nice discussion about it. I was saying that the RTX 3050 should perform probably something like a 1660, but a little bit cheaper. And the reason I say that is because they're probably going to release a 3050 Ti later in any case. And as well, at the same time, they just re-released the RTX 2060. So I wouldn't actually expect it to have similar performance to a 2060. I really hope I'm wrong, but they probably wouldn't release the card, the 3050, at the same performance of a 2060. That's nearly $200 cheaper for the 3050, if you understand what I mean. So it's cheaper to get the RTX 3050, and it probably won't have as much performance as the re-release RTX 2060. So weird times. I don't know what's going to go on with the pricing structure and how it's going to fit into the market. It's going to be quite interesting. I do believe the 6500 XT should range below 500, because if it seriously is basically an RX 580, it shouldn't go anything above 500. That's quite expensive. So that's what I mean. If these cards are actually sub 550, then we can definitely say that hopefully this will help the secondhand market bring the prices down. If you guys are selling cards, this is probably going to wreck you a little bit hard, in my opinion. I can't tell the future, but if this is true for pricing, then we can see that. The worst case scenario though for the RTX 3050 is if it releases at about $650, and that's just because NVIDIA hasn't released a card below $850 in New Zealand in literally like 2 years. So what I mean by that is like a brand new card, excluding the RTX 2060. So I wouldn't be surprised to see the RTX 3050 even at above the price estimate that I put it at 515. This is ideal, but I really find it hard to believe that they might do this just in terms of the pricing structure. I really want it to happen, but I wouldn't be surprised if they released it at about 650 plus. So be prepared to pay that, but make sure you go and check the reviews before you purchase one. In New Zealand, they're not going to run out that fast. They shouldn't, realistically. Yeah, there's something to think about here. So there's a weird pricing structure for this stuff. So yeah, I mean, I hope these cards get out at good prices for you guys, because I know a lot of you guys have been waiting, and I've been waiting to put out a video that's bloody below $1,300. It's been very tiring to just keep putting out the same videos all the time, just different parts and deals occasionally. But I feel really bad for putting out builds that are literally $1,800 brand new, and they're like what you would call a mid-range decent build. It's quite disturbing. On that note as well of being disturbing, I saw a disturbingly good deal. I'm not associated with PB Tech at all. I just saw it on PriceBuy earlier. It's the MSI RX 6600, and it's $698. That's actually a pretty decent price. I'd always say for the 6600, if it's below $700 New Zealand, $750, it's a very good deal. So if you guys want to pick that up, go ahead and take it. I think that's a pretty decent price for it at the moment. You can see it on PriceBuy here, how much it's gone down. So at one point it would have gone $599 probably when it released or something, or maybe someone else had it cheaper. But yeah, I think that's actually a pretty decent price for it, below 700. Now, as well, talking about the RTX 2060, the 12 gig model, you know, if you go to the pricing here, $899, it's pretty crazy. So yeah, and as well, if you check out something like Hardware Unbox, they give you quite a good idea on benchmarks. I really like their benchmarks. They explain them quite easily and nicely, and they give a good graph. I know they have a pretty decent way of testing things, so they're pretty nice with that. And as well, they're kind of unbiased, so you usually get a pretty good logical review from them, and that's what I quite enjoy from them. So on this graph, you can see the RTX 2060 here. So hopefully the RTX 3050 should place right below it, and probably below that the RX 6500 XT in terms of the tier. So as you can see, it just goes up and up. But I really hope that we get something decent in performance, especially for esport titles. I know a lot of you guys just like to play League or Valorant or CSGO or Rocket League, or even things like Fortnite or Apex Legends. I know that's a lot of titles, but most of them are technically regarded as esports titles, and you guys just want to have decent frame rates for occasionally, or even other things as well for other games. Now, these cards should be decent, I hope. And yeah, I mean, that's about sums up the video and my thoughts on it. But do keep your pocket change in hand, don't spend it. And hopefully we'll be able to have a decent build finally, and a decent build for you guys to get. As well, on the esports note title, just keep in mind that a lot of the times the CPU does have a lot of performance difference in them. So yeah, I mean, that about sums up the video. Thank you guys very much for watching. Make sure you go and check out ystech.org for latest posts, reviews, and much more. I'll see you guys there at ystech.org. But other than that, I hope you guys have an awesome day. Stay safe, stay healthy, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!